Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Melinda. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2025, Barbara. And before starting your session, I want to introduce you to our audience.
Go right
Barbara?
ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Barbara is a chemist and coach who empowers women over 45 in STEM, STEAM, and life sciences to transition from unfulfilling corporate roles into successful independent consulting careers. She combines neuroscience with practical strategies to deliver personalized coaching, skill development, and strategic business planning. Barbara helps frustrated professionals unlock their potential and create purpose driven business with lasting impact. Her approach fosters clarity, confidence, and community while supporting both personal growth and long term success. Driven by a passion for transformation, her mission is to turn untapped potential into powerful purpose. You have done a really great job, Barbara, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you. I just need a little assistance. So what do I need to do? Because I think I'm already sharing my screen. I just want to be
Yes.
sharing my presentation.
We will keep it in front stage. Yes.
Okay. Hang on
Now
for a
you can
second.
proceed with your presentation.
All right. Hang on there. Let me get to where I need to be. All right, hang on.
Yes, Barbara, can you please reshare again?
Hang on. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yes, please proceed.
All right, and so now I think I'm just about there. All right, of course, we have a little bit of, my internet is trying to play a game with me, so bear with me. No worries. Hello to everybody. It's a pleasure being here. So not quite here yet. Oh, internet. Melinda, I just want to thank you for that very warm welcome. As we're booting in for me, I know this worked earlier, but as we're booting in, I would love to know from everybody. I'm going to be talking about why women are the hidden powerhouse for global consulting and how to own it. And my question to all of you is this: how many of you are over 45? How many of you are in STEM? Meaning science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. And I also want to know, basically, are you already a consultant? Or are you becoming a consultant? And now I know that I actually don't get to see you right now, but that's okay. We'll get over on the flip side. I'm going to be asking questions. I want to make it interactive, and I can't wait to share what I have with you. So again, thank you for the warm introduction. This session is about reclaiming your voice and your leadership and your brilliance. Because what I see, what I've been tracking since I was a chemist in industry to when my daughter decided that she wanted to be an engineer, is that too many of us women start turning it down, start playing it quiet, start proving instead of owning. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to start flipping that switch. We're going to unlearn those old rules that hold us back and step into something that I call visibility. Because as we own our power as global consultants, entrepreneurs, and change makers, that's one of the essential ingredients. And so let's get going, right? So my hypothesis is really thinking about why women, especially over the age of 45, are the most underutilized asset in global consulting and entrepreneurship. This trend that I'm seeing is that women are leaving. And the question is, what's going on? And, one of the things is that many of the women that I know, maybe this is you, they don't realize that consulting or entrepreneurship is even an option. I knew that wasn't what I understood until it happened for me. So the experience and the insight and the systems that you've already developed, whether you're in corporate, whether you're already in entrepreneurship, Everything has led to this moment, and everything you've learned is vital. And yet, a lot of times, if you experience what I did, is that I was overlooked and undervalued. So this talk is really about reclaiming what's yours, your voice, your expertise, and your authority. But we got to just like 3 questions, okay? And so let's take a look at them right now because I want you just to think about it as we go through the talk. And so, what would it look like if you finally trusted your experience and stepped into something that you really own as your own expertise? The second one is, are you tired of being unseen in your corporate role if you're in industry or any kind of job? And be ready to be heard as you, perhaps as a consultant, perhaps as an entrepreneur. And what if that next big breakthrough isn't in the lab or the office, but happens to be in your own business? So I'm curious if you put it in the chat and I'll catch it a little bit later. Which one of those, 1, 2, or 3, just write 1, 2, or 3, and I'll get it. Which one resonates with you? Let me ask you another question. I'm a woman of a lot of questions, okay? What if the very thing that you're avoiding is visibility? And what if that is the key to your future? What I see is that too many brilliant women are playing it small, not because that is what they want. It's that they were taught to be good employees and not leaders. But what if, again, your own breakthrough is from you becoming more visible? And that's what we're unlocking today. And I want you to know this: you are not broken. You have just been conditioned to stay quiet. And we're going to begin that unlearning today. So let's talk about why I'm here. Actually, I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to activate you, to help you build a world where women stop waiting for permission and start leading, because all of us are leaders. Because when one of us rises, we all rise together. Your voice, your visibility, and your leadership, let me tell you, it matters. This isn't about legacy. This is about legacy and agency and using your own brilliance for impact. Let me tell you a little bit more of who I am. I've been a chemist for a long time. And even though I'm not practicing in the laboratory, my kitchen's my lab, I've been a chemist for over 40 years and I've solved problems. I'm a collaborator. I'm an innovator. And I've worked across continents. And a lot of times I was the only woman in the room. And what wasn't said in the intro was that I often felt like, as I was going through my career, I had to fight to be heard, despite being one of the most qualified in the room. And today, I coach women like you to turn decades of experience into consulting or entrepreneurship, business owner kinds of things that actually change lives. What about that? And the reason why I do it is because too many of us have been trained to prove rather than own, and we are already more than enough. So I've got another big question for you. And this question is, are you ready to move up? Are you willing to stay in that safe zone where you're overqualified and invisible? Or are you ready for that next chapter that doesn't live inside that box? It lives out there. You see, playing small is no longer safe because your leadership, your voice, your wisdom, they're not optional. They are urgently needed right now. So I'm going to transition into more of my talk right now. You see, there's a reason why so many brilliant women stay muted. It's not the lack of talent. It's a systematic story we've all been taught, and it's one that has our nervous system overloaded, or it's been absorbed, if you may. So let's take a look at this invisible thing, this visible cage, I call it, and how we can finally break through. You know, what I know is that you've followed the rules. You've got the degrees, you've solved problems, but yet you get passed over. See, in chemistry, I knew I wasn't imagining it, but I was constantly passed over and over again. And so this is why, some of why brilliant women are leaving, not because they're done, let me say, but because they're tired of being ignored for the brilliance that they have. This isn't a personal failure. This is systematic fatigue. And if you let it, it can also be the catalyst for reinvention, for visibility, and for leadership. In order to get there, though, we've been given a lot of advice, right? It might be like, okay, so maybe you're transitioning to something different. Just fix your resume or take another course, get another certification. And the last one is just be more confident. Just step out, just do it, right? Nike, just do it. And a lot of that is really surface level advice, because what's really having you stay stuck is you get stuck in fear. You get stuck in your identity of who you are wiring, and your nervous system, like I said a little bit earlier, is overloaded. What I know is you're not broken. You're just responding to a system that was never built for you in mind. So there's no need to rebrand you. We just need to rewire. But here's what's happening is that we're told that to keep our heads down, work hard, stay loyal. That's exactly what I was told when I started. You've got the dream job. Just keep your head down, do what they say, and you'll get all these promotions. Well, I did that, and I thought maybe someday they would notice. But that someday, it never came. And so the employee identity that we were trained with was designed for obedience, not leadership. And that's the very conditioning that keeps brilliant women like you small, quiet, and waiting. But what got you here isn't going to get to you to where you want to be. So let me tell you a story. It's from my early in my career. I shared a novel idea with my group, and my boss immediately dismissed it and said, "That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard." And 2 weeks later, my male colleague, he shared the same idea. And this time it was praised as being brilliant. So my colleague kicked me under the table because it was his ways of acknowledging it was my idea. But that moment, I didn't just get quiet, I got silent, because the internal message was being right isn't enough, and being visible, but being visible is very unsafe. And that's what the old paradigm costs us in our voice. So let's flip it, okay? Let's flip that switch. What I know is that you are not too late to flip that switch. You are right on time. And you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from power. And the new paradigm says you don't need to wait. You don't need to prove. That was one of mine, right? You get to own your brilliance because you've already earned it, and you're not becoming, you're remembering who you are exactly. But here's another thing. Let's get clear. You already have what it takes to become a consultant, become an entrepreneur. You just have to remember, you already have been thinking globally. You are already thinking in systems. You've got the emotional intelligence and the cross-functional collaboration. And here's what I know. These are not just soft skills. They're actually your consulting currency or your entrepreneurship currency. And what corporate overlooked are rewarded in consulting or as a business owner, if you may. We don't need to become somebody new. You finally get to recognize who you already are, and you get to bring her forward boldly and visibly. But let's talk about what's happening systematically. There's 2 things. First, I want to tell you about STEM women, and then I'll switch over to the entrepreneur world. In the STEM world, 43% of women, after, let's say, 5 to 10 years, they're leaving. That's a problem. That happens to be at the exact point when caregiving is the demand, right? That's where that demand is. This isn't about lacking ambition. It's not about navigating. Am I going to make it? It's about having unsupported systems, no flexibility, no mentorship, and no map. And so these leaks aren't personal, they're structural, and it's happening across the globe. So the question isn't, why are women not leaving? The question is, why have we been expected to survive in systems that don't benefit us, right? So let's turn ourselves to entrepreneurship. 43% of the world are women entrepreneurs. Yes, that's awesome. But here's the real thing is that, let's look at some data. And here's what the data says. The data says that even though we're doubling based on men and women, we're doubling our numbers compared to men, we still are only receiving 2% of the venture capital. We're only getting, only 1 in 3 of us reach high growth thresholds. And the likelihood of exportation is lower, much lower. And this is not talent. The good news is this is not talent. We are very talented. This is a lack of access, infrastructure, and visibility. Here's the thing. The drive for us is there. The brilliance for us is there. What's missing is the support to scale. So let's ask the question, why women don't stay or scale, and what's really holding us back. And there's 5 things that I've been able to trace so far in my research is a lack of funding, a lack of belief, a lack of mentorship, a lack of time, and a lack of scalable models. So let's be clear, these are not mindset flaws. These are structural gaps. And once we name them, we can build around them. Your business doesn't have to be another job. It can be your freedom. It can be your legacy. Because here's the thing. We all lose when women leave. Let that land. When women leave, businesses don't flourish as much as they could. This isn't about your paycheck. It's about global loss. And when women shriek, the world loses innovation, inclusivity, and sustainable solutions. But when we rise, ecosystems expand. So if your idea wasn't heard, if your solution wasn't used, your brilliance was hidden, that's not just a personal loss, that's a collective one. We don't have to play that game that way. But there's something else operating. And it's not your resume, it's not your ambition. And the question is, what is it? And the real answer lies in your brain. And it's been wired to protect you and keep you from being visible. So the next slide, we're going to talk about the brain's hidden codes. Here's where most advice misses the mark. We're told, just show up, just be more confident, just do it, right? But the truth is, your brain isn't wired for visibility. It's wired for safety. And when being seen feels risky, your nervous system puts on the brakes. Not because it's broken, mind you, but because your brain is just doing its job to protect you. Once you understand that, everything starts to change, and you can stop blaming yourself and start building the pathway forward. I want to tell you a story of when I was in 1st grade. I learned to be quiet early. I had a noticeable lisp. And when I read very slowly in school, I wanted to carefully enunciate every single word. And one day, my teacher wanted me to read faster. And I stumbled over and over again. And so she hit my hand with a ruler to speed up. And then she humiliated me in front of 25 other children. I was in the highest reading group, and I was dropped to remedial. That day, my nervous system learned being visible equals punishment, and speaking up equals danger. And it took me a long time again to find my voice. So when I was in industry and I was told my idea was stupid, I went right back there, because visibility fear isn't mindset. It's about rewiring your brain now. And this is why I shut down early in my career. So let's talk about the brain a little bit more. It has all sorts of hidden circuits. And so let me just say, here's what fear looks like, right? It sounds like, for me, let me just fix this one more time. It's not perfect yet. Or if you're on LinkedIn and you want to start posting or in social media or doing something like this, it's like, oh my gosh, I'll do it when I'm ready because, oh my gosh, what if somebody criticizes me? I don't know. Does that sound familiar to you? Although all the steps in there feel productive, but without pressing the button or and just sending it out, that's your brain protecting you. It's actually a freezing mode. It's actually your brain's in survival. And this is what I call a neural lock disguised as action. You're not sabotaging. You're surviving. And the good news is that lock has a key. You can rewire for visibility and for leadership so that you can step into the life you want and the business you want by design. However, let's talk a little bit about perfection. I don't know. I'm one who has that perfection loop going on all the time, and I have to constantly put it in check. You see, that's not a character flaw. It's a safety strategy. So you haven't done something before, like coming onto a talk like this, your brain starts putting up warning. If I get it perfect, I won't be judged. But the cost is invisibility, burnout, and constant over preparing. You polish endlessly and you still never feel ready. Meanwhile, the world can't find you. And confidence doesn't come before you do something. It comes doing it scared. That's my invitation to you is do it scared by showing up before you are done. You see, we wait for that green light, don't we? But here's what the brain really needs. It needs safety and momentum. What it doesn't need is perfection. And the truth is, you don't wait for courage. You step into it and confidence follows. And the real sequence is act, feel safe, build confidence. Every micro step forward allows your brain to rewire for visibility. One action helps with the safety, and then safety becomes momentum. And the world, it's very interesting, begins responding to you. But we have to go over a couple other things because we've got to talk about, we have the employee mindset, or I don't really want to say mindset. We've got the employee identity, and then we've got the consultant and the entrepreneur and business owner identity. So in the employee one, it sounds like I just need another credential. I'll wait till somebody gives me a title. Maybe I'm not ready yet. Does any of that sound familiar? Put that in the chat. This is the frame that you constantly build to prove. And if you're proving, that means you will stay invisible, right? Because you're never stepping out there. But here's the thing. It no longer reflects who you are becoming. And if you stay in this identity, you'll sabotage your next chapter. And that's why it's time to retire that old story and step into a new one. Let's talk about the consultant one, the consultant entrepreneur frame. This is where you get to choose your clients. You get to be paid for the thinking you're already doing, and your insight is what changes people. It actually drives the transformation that you get for your client. You see, the consultant or business owners don't wait to be chosen. They position themselves as trusted advisors. And no, this isn't arrogance. This is alignment with who you are. You're not stepping into ego. You're actually stepping into your truth. It's into becoming who you already are. So again, in the chat, if you could, what is the cost of you staying small or silent? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Here's what I know. You're already doing the work. If you're thinking of transitioning from an employee to a consultant and an entrepreneur. So let me just kind of anchor this in. And that's kind of funny because it's my anchor story. And I'll tell you a little bit about it in a minute. If you've been solving problems and influencing without authority, guess what? You've already been consulting. And the only thing missing is your visibility. You are not starting over. You're starting with credibility and capability and deep value. Okay, here's my anchor story. I was hired as a consultant for process development in Basel, and the executive director said to me, "I'll give you an anchor to sink yourself." And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, then I'm going to swim. Well, that same leader told me at the end of my tenure with them, he couldn't imagine his department without me because of the insights that I was giving to his people. And he used to come down all the time in my office just for, briefings. What were people doing and how do we need to be more global and how do we do this better? It was a constant. He was probably my most constant person in my office. And that's where I learned that my own brilliance spoke for itself. And it will for you too, when you stop hiding it. This story was my wake-up call. And my proof that the system may doubt you, but your brilliance, my proof that the system may doubt you, that's okay. But it won't doubt your brilliance. It's gonna shine through because it already knows what's going on. So let's go into, some language patterns because when you don't talk like you are that expert, guess what happens? People don't believe you either. So, what we want to do is start speaking like the expert I know you already are, because language either shrinks you, we go back, or it shows you. And so language is not neutral. It shrinks your identity or it shows the authority. And I know STEM women, we go, oh, I'm just a chemist, or I'm just, managing this project, or, well, the experiment worked. I was just lucky. And these are all phrases that are like micro cages and they matter because the more you say them, the more the brain wires it to be true. And we get to flip that switch. Let's stop minimizing that. You're not just anything. You're a strategic thinker, you're a problem solver, you're a systems architect, and language isn't fluff. Leadership, it's leadership visibility because the market doesn't see what you do. It sees how you speak about what you do. And when you're owning your expertise out loud, it starts to listen. So this brings me to the point we've got to look at the breakdowns to breakthroughs and starting to trust yourself. We don't usually talk about the hard parts, right? We don't talk about the burnout, the rejection, and the feeling of being invisible. But here's what I've learned. Your breakdowns are not the end. They're the spark. That moment you nearly quit, that's the moment that deeper thing was born. And when you start trusting that you lived experience, that becomes your leverage and everything changes. Your pain becomes your purpose. Your resilience becomes your edge, and your breakthroughs don't come with a perfect plan. They come from radical trust in you, in your journey, and what's to come next. So let's talk about that. We've got 3 shifts that we need to do in order to unmute our brilliance. The first one is belief. You get to stop wondering if you're enough and start owning, I'm already the expert. The model, you have to stop trading time for money and start delivering your transformation. And visibility, you get to stop waiting for perfection and show up now. And when you embody those 3, that becomes the turning point. So I know in STEM, women always ask me, who am I to do this? And I ask them, who are you not? It's never about credentials. You already have those. It's about your identity. And you need to have your self-concept of you catch up with the experience you have. You don't need more degrees. You don't need certification or more years. What you need is a new lens, a new perspective that reflects who you are. You are the expert. You are not behind and you are on time. So let's look at the model. Brilliant women stay in that survival mode. They keep customizing everything, chasing deliverables, over delivering, because that's what we were trained to do in corporate. But scalable, you've got to be able to understand that your bandwidth is your brilliance. You get to stop selling your hours and you get to start delivering results. You build the frameworks instead of starting from scratch. You design instead of hustle. And it's not about more effort, it's about being in alignment with who you are so that you get more impact, less burnout, and full ownership of your value. You see, I have a secret. You are already valuable and you were born with that. So let's talk about visibility. This is the shift that scares most of the women I work with, but it's the one that changes everything. It's visibility. Most of us were taught to wait till it's perfect, be polished, Be prepared. Don't do it messy, right? Stay hidden until you have arrived, right? But visibility is not a reward for success. It's only a path to it. People can't hire you if they don't see you. And this is about showing up imperfectly, boldly, and consistently. Because presence, not perfection, is what builds trust. This is exactly why, for you all, I have designed something called the Visibility Toolkit, so that you have something that's going to calm your brain, give you the traction and not the overwhelm. And if you stay toward the end of the talk, I will give you the QR code so that you can download that as your first steps of being seen, being heard, and being hired. What I know is brilliance is not a secret. Brilliance is not something that you keep quiet either. It's a solution the world needs now. Too often we're taught that humility means silence, and humility without visibility is what keeps women hidden. You don't have to shout. You just need to show up for you. Because if they can't see you, they can't hire you. And this isn't leaving what you've been trained in. No, it's about stepping into leadership within what you already know. And in STEM, the world's problems are going to stay the world's problems, right? You've got climate and health and AI and regulation. What they need though is wisdom. They need you. They don't need the speed. You've already been operating at a high level. That's what I know. And consulting and being a business owner allows you to lead with autonomy, alignment, and agency. You are the right person, and this is the right time. And we've got global problems, and you've already been handling them. And it's time you start positioning yourself as being paid like a global expert that you are. Here's what I know. You're not too late. If you're over 45 and wondering if you've missed your chance, you're right on time. You're not late. And consulting and entrepreneurship doesn't require youth. It requires wisdom, experience, precision, and perspective. You've already led through that crisis. You've already made an impact. And now it's time for you to get paid for that. Because when you start consulting or you become an entrepreneur, it becomes your legacy vehicle. You gain time and flexibility and autonomy. And it's a model that's possible. And it becomes a model for others. Because when you rise, we all rise. And your business becomes the blueprint for the next generation. You become the mentor, the map maker, and the proof that it's possible to lead differently. So this is the time that you get to pick yourself. That's really important. Because you've already earned it. And the only thing that's missing is your yes. This is the moment we stop proving and start leading. This is your call to action. Let me tell you really why I do what I do. It's because of my daughter, who's brilliant, kind, and wise behind her years. She wanted to be an engineer in biotech. She loved robotics. She loved languages. She saw the world through a different lens of innovation and compassion. And even as a teenager, she saw the bias. She saw how kids were praised for documentation, while boys took the spotlight in building and coding and driving. She never got to live out her dreams. She had a million of them. Unfortunately, she passed away a couple years ago. But I know her spirit, her legacy, and her lives, the lives that she's touched, and the lives that I touch, and the words that I speak touch every single person. She taught me to stay curious and to believe in possibility and to lead with heart, because we don't know when our time is up. And I see this as a spark for every single one of you here. Her legacy lives through my work, because I know when you rise, you're carrying a million dreams of others who can't. You are the agency. You're the legacy. So, moment to pause before we stop. What bold decision are you making to carry yourself forward?
Hello, Barbara. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. We are running out of time.
Okay. I'm just about done. I'm just about there.
Yes, please wind up in a minute, please.
So here's the toolkit. for you because I believe that you want that step forward, because really, this is for you, for me, and for us. The world is changing fast. We cannot afford to wait, and this is your moment. Let's unmute your brilliance together, because our boys and our girls are watching, and it's still systematic because girls are still doing documentation and boys are still taking the lead when it comes to robotics. This is a real live example from when I was in robotics. So let's stay connected, because what I believe is that women with vision help our girls and our children with dreams. You are the expert, you are the leader, and you're ready to be seen. Thank you for listening. All right.
Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much for your valuable time. This is a very informative session, and we have got a lot of questions from our audience, Barbara. We will post it to your email so you can respond.
Okay. Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I'm happy to talk with anybody. This is the conversation that we get to start now, because we get to move forward. It's really important, really important.
We are very honored that you are here today. Thank you so much. And be on the backstage and join the next session, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.